Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Slifer the Sky Dragon Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for September 2023. Been wanting to update the Arcana Knight Joker variant of the Slifer deck, and with the last update that I made for the deck with the new Slifer support revolving around more of the generic ways to special summon out monsters than using the many different Slifer spell and traps. This one focuses more on the Arcana Knight Joker monsters, and I definitely would say this is my favorite version of the deck. It's just way more consistent with the draw power and the special summon power that the Arcana Knight monsters can provide for Slifer, the Sky Dragon. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. Our main go-to boss monster is Slifer, the Sky Dragon. You don't really need the one in the deck. You have plenty of search power for this card in the deck to begin with, including just cards like our Thunder Speed Summon, being able to add a level 10 non-dark monster with question mark attack for the search power of this card, gaining the 1000 attack and defense for each card in our hand. And if a monster is normal or special summon to your opponent's field in face-up attack position, that monster loses 2000 attack, and if its attack is reduced to 0, destroy it. So it's a good way just to make sure your opponent has no way to keep a board on the field as well. And you can also special summon Slifer back onto the field with some of the other Slifer cards running, like the Revived Sky God as well, giving you more draw power, but the main play comes in the form of being able to summon out our many knights like Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight easily onto the field to be the 3 tributes for Slifer, while being able to retain a hand to keep his attack power up also. Now, one other boss monster that I do run is the Arcana Triumph Joker. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send one Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight from your hand and or face up in the monster zone to the graveyard to special summon this card. This card gains 500 attack times the combined number of cards in both players' hand, and you can discard one card to destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls with the same type monster spells or traps as the discarded card. So while being more of an offensive variant to Slifer, it doesn't have as big of an attack boost, but it does have more of the defensive capabilities as well with its actual defense, while also being able to take out face-up cards your opponent controls depending on the card you discarded, which we do run a good number of spells, traps, and monsters, so depending on what you discard for this card, you can take out a good number of cards your opponent has also. For some of the 3-ofs for the Arcana Knight Joker monsters, 3 copies of Imperial Bower. This is definitely one of the best cards in the deck for the engine. If you control no other monsters, you can tribute this card to take 2 different monsters from your deck among Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and or Jack's Knight, either add them to your hand or special summon each monster. So being able just to summon out your King's Knight and Queen's Knight off this card then gives you the special summon of Jack's Knight onto the field, giving you the 3 monsters for the special summon of this card, and the additional monster also just needing that normal summon with other cards we run in the deck, which we'll go over when we get to the spells and traps. And also the 3 copies of Joker's Knight, a level 5 monster. You can send one Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight from your deck to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. If you do, this card's name becomes that set monster's until the end phase. And during your end phase, if this card's in your graveyard, you can target one other light warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. So it's recycle power for the card you initially sent back to begin with. Being able to copy the name of a card means that if you make it become King's Knight and you have like Queen's Knight on the field, then you get your Jack Knight special summon, just needing the requirement for the King's Knight to have your Queen's Knight special summon when you normal summon out your King's Knight to begin with. And also the other knights that we're running, 2 copies of Queen's Knight. This is your normal monster, giving us another easy special summon using cards like Unexpected Die to special summon this card onto the field, and then just being able to normal summon out our King's Knight, and then controlling Queen's Knight to special summon Jack's Knight from our deck as well, which we're also running 2 copies of this card as well for the option when it's normal summon, while you control Queen's Knight to special summon 1 Jack's Knight from your deck. So even if you use the Imperial Bower effect to special summon King's Knight and Queen's Knight onto the field, you won't get the special summon of Jack's Knight, sadly, since it has to be normal summon your King's Knight. But if you have another one in your hand while controlling the Queen's Knight to begin with, you could use the Imperial Bower effect to summon out another Jack's Knight, because we are also running 2 copies of this card, just giving you more of a field presence, having 4 monsters when you only need the 3 to summon out your Slifer, but still having another higher attack point monster to keep on the field also. And also for the rest of the main deck monsters, just 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, just the hand trap of choice. You really want to preserve as much of your hand as you can, but still having a card that can at least stop some of your opponent's special summons or graveyard setup with their cards they send to the deck before they even, have a chance to use any of their plays, and before you might even be able to take your own turn. And moving on now to the spells, I run 3 copies of Joker's Straight. You discard 1 card to special summon 1 Queen's Knight from your deck and add 1 King's Knight or Jack's Knight from your deck to your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 monster. You cannot special summon monsters from the extract for the rest of this turn, except for Light Warrior monsters. And during the end phase, if this card's in the graveyard, you can target 1 Light Warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. So this card really does help to set up the entire play because it gives you that additional normal summon as well. Discarding a card, special summoning out the Queen's Knight, adding the King's Knight to your hand, and then normal summoning it out without taking up your main normal summon, and then using the effect to special summon your Jack's Knight, giving you the 3 monsters, and with you still being able to have your normal summon, for you then to be able to tribute all 3 of them to summon out your Slifer the Sky Dragon. And then also 3 copies of Thunder Force Attack. This card's activation and effect cannot be negated. If you control a monster whose original name is Slifer the Sky Dragon, destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent controls as possible. Then if you activate this card during your main phase, you can apply the following effect to draw cards equal to the number of monsters destroyed by this effect and sent to your opponent's graveyard. And you can only attack with 1 monster this turn, which is more than likely going to be Slifer, but still a great way to clear out your opponent's cards with a quick play spell. And then the added bonus, if it was activated during the main phase, to then draw cards to make Slifer all the stronger. And then also 2 copies of Thunder Speed Summon. During the main phase or battle phase, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 level 10 monster, or if you control Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight, you can apply this effect instead for the search power of being able to add Slifer from your deck to your hand, and then you can normal summon 1 level 10 monster. So it's search power as well if you control the Arcana Knight monsters to begin with, thanks to this card. And with that quick play, you can also attack with your 3 monsters and then summon out Slifer to have the additional attack of your Egyptian god as well. And 2 copies of Unexpected Die just for the 2 targets for our Queen's Knight to summon on the field to then normal summon our King's Knight. So you get that special summon there also. And for some of the one-ofs, I run the 1 Soul Crossing for the tribute power of your opponent's own monsters. The 1 Face Card Fusion for being able to fusion summon a light fusion monster. If you don't have the Slifer play, to then at least be able to go into cards like Arcana Knight Joker being another bigger boss monster option. And also the 1 Triple Tactics Talent. I thought about running more of this card if I were to do so. You can maybe take out the Soul Crossing. This just gives you more draw if your opponent tries to stop any of your special summons with monster effects, to then draw 2 more cards to at least have resources or more cards in hand to make Slifer all the more powerful. The 1 Monster Reborn, because we do need it for the revived Sky God play. And also the 1 copy of Reinforcements of the Army, since we do run a good majority of warrior monsters in the deck to begin with also. And then for the traps, I run 3 copies of the Revived Sky God. The activation of this card or its effects cannot be negated, nor can its effects be negated. 1 special summon 1 Slifer from your graveyard. Then each player draws until they have 6 cards in their hand. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard. And also place 1 Monster Reborn from your deck or graveyard on top of your deck. So this is basically Yugi's play that he did against Yugi, or, Item did against Yugi in the final episode. Being able to draw into the Monster Reborn and summon Slifer back onto the field again. And giving you an additional draw as well if a Divine Beast monster is in your graveyard. So it's all the setup for your Egyptian god once you have it already set up on the field and your opponent happens to destroy it, giving you another special summon. Your opponent can't activate anything in response to it. And then you also have the Monster Reborn search and being able to draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Also, the 1 copy of Ultimate Divine Beast, the 1 copy of Court of Cards, and the 1 Joker's Wild. Just more setup for all of your many different Queen's Knight, King's Knights, and Jack's Knights, and also more protection for your Slifer the Sky Dragon with the Ultimate Divine Beast trap, with the last of the traps being a tech choice of mine, and that is just 2 copies of Reckless Greed. Another good card if your opponent is going to attempt to swing over Slifer. If you just activate this card, not only will it give you a draw of 2, but it'll also raise Slifer's attack points up by 2,000. You will skip your draw, but there's a good chance with some of the other cards to make up for those draws that we draw into using this card to then give us more of a hand to begin with the skip to the next 2 draw phase that this card provides. And then moving on now to the extra deck, I run the 1 copy of Arcana Knight Joker with the Face Card Fusion. We have the 1 fusion of this card, and then more of a spell, trap, and monster effect activated negation of this card to negate the effect. It doesn't destroy it, but still can stop a good number of cards, and having 3,800 attack makes it one of the more stronger monsters in the deck also. And then also 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Lena the Light Charmer, 1 Underclock Taker, and 1 Cross Sheep for some of the Link 2 monsters. Additionally, also the 1 Sold, the 1 Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Arcana Extra Joker for our Link monsters. And then for the Xyz monsters, the 1 copy of Exciton Knight, the 1 Abyss Dweller, the 1 Baguska, the 1 Wind Up Arsenal Zen Mao, and the 1 Zeus for the Xyz monsters that we could potentially go into with the level 5 and level 4 monsters being able to make these rank 4 and 5s pretty easily if we don't have any other play to go into. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, the setup for your main boss monster, whether it be your Arcana Triumph Joker or your Slifer, really is what the whole playstyle in the deck falls down to. But you can set up so much more with the actual playstyle if you have cards like Joker Straight and Thunder Speed Summon in your hand for the play. So with Joker Straight, all you need is that 1 additional card in your hand to discard for the play, activating it, discarding your card, and then special summoning out the 1 Queen's Knight to your field, and then adding the King's Knight to your hand as well. With this card then, once you normal summon out your King's Knight with that normal summon, you can then activate the effect to special summon out your Jack's Knight onto the field. And then depending on if these monsters can get over your opponent's board, you can swing into their field, then activate your Thunder Speed Summon to then, since you have all 3 of them on the field, add 1 level 10 non-dark monster with question mark attack to your hand, and then provide the additional normal summon with this card as well. So with this play, you have had 3 cards in your hand. If you went first, you're not going to attack, obviously. So in going with the fact that you went second means you had 3 additional cards in your hand. They could just be 3 unknowns, making the Slifer the Sky Dragon have 3,000 attack for this first attack that it goes for against your opponent, making it all the more difficult for your opponent even to make a board after you summon this card, and the additional damage it can provide if your Arcana Knight monsters were able to get over your opponent's other monsters. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, just a quick update to the Slifer deck. I always like to update it, and definitely do find the Arcana Knight Joker variant to be one of the more powerful versions of the deck. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.